Hello, my name's Dick Stugeon. I'm a workers advocate for an organization called Workers Have Rights Too. At the present time, we don't have an office. Our only function for a while is going to be educational. We cannot provide direct representation for workers any longer. This is a second part of a two-part show on the subject of the emotional side of the workplace. With me today is workers advocate Deb Borg, and Deb, we welcome you. Last time, our last show, we were talking about teasing and bullying, and how workers are just like kids in school sometimes. They pick on somebody's weakness, and they harass and tease people because of that. And we finished up that subject fairly well. The thing I would make everybody aware of that stops when the teaser realizes that other people are not taking part in that. Other people are supporting the fellow that's being picked on, and that's a good way to put a stop to that.
What about coworkers helping coworkers outside of work? You know,
and that's really true. We talk about the golden rule, and in the workplace that is even more important. And the examples I could think of is that we had a coworker that at Sioux Tools that was just beside himself with the problems that him and his wife were having on a really difficult pregnancy. It was really difficult. And the wives of the workers first had the thought about maybe giving a baby shower, but decided not to do that because there was great concern about the baby's health, baby making it, and also concerned about the mother's health. So what they did, they organized a card shower. And everything come out all right. The baby was all right, the mother was all right, but I don't think that couple's ever forgotten the support that they had from there.
Probably not.
Another good example, and we see this in the government a lot, where workers will take and donate some of their sick days to a co-worker who is suffering from a major illness, have used up all their sick days. Other workers will donate either into a pool or directly to that person, so that person doesn't have to go without pay. And I'll tell you that those kind of activities help make that workplace a better place to go to. You realize that when you work for a living, that for the majority of your waking hours, you spend with those people. And you know, the old family thing gets a little bit old, but really you do become family. You do. Yes. You do, definitely. We have some other, you know, I've seen a lot of times where co-workers will help each other move. I had a man who came and helped me take a wash machine down our basement steps. He told me not to call him when it came back up, though. But he helped move, helped blade snow. I've seen, you know, where a guy in the workplace will be a good mechanic, will help somebody repair their car, babysit or do house repairs. And even though those things are happening off the work site, I really think that it provides great benefit in the workplace where people get to feel that that they're closer together and they're working as a team. You know, we've seen workplaces that send cards out for birthdays and anniversaries. Workers do that on their own, or they'll take up a collection to send flowers out when a new baby's born or somebody's in the hospital. And that really pays super dividend too. Oh yes, it definitely. I've heard you tell that coworkers are usually the first to notice, like in a person's behavior or their health. Yes. Okay. Well, what can a coworker do in such a case if they notice? Well, you know, that's really important. In the 38 years I've been doing this, I have seen workers who are the first to notice a change in somebody. Deep depression, some mental illness, some type of activity on their part that shows that something's going wrong, where they're feeling hopeless because of an addiction or or maybe they're suffering from credit problems or some kind of physical problem. Co-workers are probably closer to that person than most people are, other than maybe spouse or mother and father. You know, I've seen cases where the co-worker has come over and talked to the person about it and said, look, we have a EAP, Employee Assistance Program here, or you know, I think I can find you someplace, somebody you can go talk to, but you got to get help. I have seen more people that have headed off suicides or serious breakups in marriage or things like that simply by offering a helping hand. Now, if that helping hand's rejected, then so be it. But they got to show the support. Another good example is over in North Sioux City. We had a fella who had developed a terrible cough, and the workers weren't paying too much attention to it. But one day, somebody happened to be walking by his workstation and noticed in the trash can there was a whole bunch of bloody tissue. And the man was coughing up blood. So they went over and talked to him immediately. And the guy was coughing up blood, and he was scared out of his wits. He didn't know who to tell or what to do about it. Now, I don't encourage workers to run off and tell the employer about these things, but in this case, the first thing they thought about was a company nurse who they all kind of depended upon. She got him a doctor's appointment. They probably saved his life because they were paying attention. We had a man who had worked with us for years, developed terrible anger. Terrible anger. It wasn't like him at all. He was a church-going man. He had raised a family, but all of a sudden he developed a terrible anger. And then shortly after that, he started developing some mild confusion. His memory was, he was forgetting things, he couldn't concentrate, and they tried to talk to him and it didn't do any good. In fact, they stayed away from him because of his anger. So our union steward went down to his son's shop and set his son down and told him what the workers were seeing. The son got him to somebody, and he was having a neurological problem associated with the brain that was addressed and was taken care of. But without the worker's concern, that might never have been taken care of.
Exactly. What about, what can workers do to help a coworker who has either been hurt or laid off?
Yeah, and this is really important, and we're probably going to be running out of time here pretty soon, but this is really super important. A person who is off the job because of injury or laid off are go through a lot of deep emotions anyhow. But I've talked to an awful lot of workers who said, you know, I got hurt on the job. I haven't heard a word from anybody from the workplace, from management or from my co-workers, and they really feel bad about it. Besides trying to heal, they have to. They feel that they've been separated from, again, a place where they spent the majority of the waking hours. Absolutely. And, you know, and also the company quit sending him the company newsletter. Well, they used to pick it up in the workplace. He doesn't get the company newsletter anymore. He doesn't know any of the news that's going on in the shop. And my suggestion on that is that people should pay attention to that. If a person is hurt, make sure somebody calls him 2 or 3 times, maybe a couple times a week, and see how he's doing, and fill him in on what's going on in the shop. And if he's up to visitors, somebody should drop over once a week and see him and bring him up on the news in the plant. Who's got promoted? Who retired? If there's new products in the plant. And one of the most important things, if the person is on layoff, you know, is that that their co-workers are his ears and eyes inside the plant.
Oh yes, they are.
Is work picking up? Are they calling people back? Are they having more layoffs? He wouldn't know those things unless the workers were going to tell him. So it's really important that again, we look after each other. If somebody's hurt, you got to stay in touch with them. Have guys send him a card, but more so, he's going to need somebody to talk to. He's sitting there alone, probably his spouse and is off working. The kids are off to school. A visit from his co-workers would probably be just exactly what he needs, and keep him abreast in that. I would think management would have a little bit of responsibility that way too, but certainly co-workers do. He probably isn't being notified of any department parties or company picnics or any of the social functions that they used to have.
Right. He'd normally be involved in all of that.
Yes, and people and the people who are laid off, if it becomes necessary, and I'm going to skip ahead here a little because we're running out of time. If it becomes necessary for them to call on a co-worker for an unemployment hearing, or if a person needs to call on somebody for a workers' comp hearing to verify that an accident did happen, co-workers should do that. I know that it's intimidating. I know that you could be fearful, but the law provides that you have the right to go and testify or to offer support or evidence for those people in depositions or statements or whatever is needed. Without them, workers don't have anything. You'd be surprised how many employers, or insurance companies, I should say, for employers, deny that the injury even occurred. And unless you have a person who's working next to them and say, oh my, yes, I saw that pen drop on that guy's foot, or I saw him lift that box of parts and his back went out on him. Unless the worker is willing to step forward and say, yes, I saw that, then the worker is going to be hard-pressed to try and prove that something like that went on. I tell workers that if you see something like that, you see a co-worker hurt themselves, to make a note of it. Put it on your calendar. Dick smashed hand, or write it in your notebook or something, so that if this fella comes back and says, "You remember when I dropped that pen on my hand?" he can say, "Oh, sure, it's right here on my calendar." We have to start looking after each other. The employer, if the employer can keep us separated and keep us from that kind of concern, will. And in many cases, they just come out on top. I've seen many workers come in, and you've seen it too, where they've come into our office and they'll say, the whole department's willing to stand in front of me or back me up on this. And I always tell them at the time that they probably mean that. But the fact is, when it comes down to time to testify or time to give a statement, don't feel bad if they beg off, because they have a job to protect. We are about out of time. I would like to thank the Siouxland Media, Community Media for producing this program. It's a nonprofit organization that provides to other nonprofits an opportunity to be on TV. Also to Morningside College for providing us a facility. And Deb, I want to tell you that we appreciate you coming down. You've been a great help throughout the years to workers' rights, and we're happy to have your input on the cable show.
Thank you for asking me.
Thank you.